you try to hit a moving target at 88 yards through heavy foliage, no way.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 president conspiracy theories.
So QAnon is just a way for Trump supporters to look at what Trump is doing and say, this doesn't match what I want.
For this list, we'll be looking at some of the most infamous conspiracy theories regarding American presidents. Do you buy any of these? Let us know in the comments below. Number 10. Obama is not a natural-born citizen. Barack Obama was subjected to many questions regarding his citizenship and birthplace.
Why is that relevant?
It's very relevant.
Have you ever asked
Why isn't it? People ask me for my birth certificate.
Article 2 of the Constitution claims that only natural-born citizens of the United States are eligible to become president. To discredit Obama's presidency, many racists and Republicans promulgated the belief that he was not a natural-born citizen, and this group was called the Birther Movement.
He gave a birth certificate. Now all we have to do is find out whether or not it was real.
The funny thing is, no one could really agree on the nature of his supposed citizenship. Some claim he was actually born in Kenya, while others asserted that he was a dual citizen and therefore ineligible to become president.
I was pretty confident about where I was born. I think most people were as well. My hope would be that the presidential election reflects more serious issues than that.
Those are just two of many unfounded theories. Numerous official documents, including Obama's own birth certificate, have proven that he was born in Hawaii. Number 9. The business plot. The frustrating thing about the business plot is that we don't know how much of it is true. Also known as the Wall Street Putsch, the business plot was revealed by a retired Marine Corps Major General named Smedley Butler.
Who in the hell has done all the bleeding for this country and for this law and this Constitution anyhow but you fellas?
According to him, rich industrialists of the United States were planning on overthrowing President Roosevelt and installing Butler as a fascist dictator.
Yet of all the unprecedented innovations brought by FDR, it is his decision to take the nation off the gold standard that most infuriates the Wall Street elite.
Many media companies dismissed the allegations, but Butler later testified before the House of Representatives, who found his claims to be at least partly true.
The plan as outlined to me was to form an organization of veterans, to use as a bluff or as a club at least, to intimidate the government and break down our democratic institutions.
Modern historians tend to agree that a coup was likely contemplated, but that it was never even close to being properly executed. Number 8. The 1980 October surprise.
Here they are now.
Is there any word about the hostages? Have they taken off?
In politics, an October surprise is a huge news story that occurs right before an election and potentially changes its outcome. In 1980, there was no October surprise. Then again, this might have been by design. The 1980 election was between incumbent President Jimmy Carter and eventual winner Ronald Reagan. Just minutes after Reagan's inaugural address, the famous Iran hostage crisis, as depicted in the movie Argo, finally came to an end, and the American hostages were released.
They're clear.
The conspiracy theory claims that the Reagan administration offered Iran weapons in exchange for keeping the hostages until after the election. That way, they weren't freed during Carter's tenure, thereby robbing him of the credit and a spectacular October surprise.
The main reason I would like to see an investigation, I'm not really calling for it, but I think it would be good, is to prove that it's not true. And I hope it is not true.
Number 7. The Majestic 12. The existence of UFOs is arguably the biggest conspiracy theory of our time, and the Majestic 12 is directly linked to it. Back in 1947, the same year as the famous Roswell incident, President Harry S. Truman supposedly started a committee known as the Majestic 12. The committee was allegedly made up of many powerful figures, including military leaders and high-ranking government officials, and they were tasked with investigating recovered UFOs. The FBI has publicly denied the existence of the Majestic 12, and even ufologists don't believe it to be real. Regardless, some conspiracy theorists continue to believe in its historic authenticity.
Firstly, we developed and used, in anger, nuclear weapons. And that would be very visible from space. So actually, if nothing else, it's an attention getter.
Number 6. Biden, Ukraine. Presidential elections really are cutthroat. During the 2020 election, some people, including incumbent President Donald Trump, hoped to derail Joe Biden's campaign by spreading a conspiracy theory.
Somebody ought to look into Joe Biden's statement because it was disgraceful.
In the mid-2010s, as Russia continued to fight for influence in Ukraine, Biden was tasked with pushing for reforms against corruption. He threatens to withhold loans unless Ukrainian prosecutor Viktor Shokin was fired.
Look, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
The conspiracy theory cast this as an effort to protect Biden's son Hunter, who served on the board of gas company Burisma, which was under investigation for activities before Hunter's time. However, Biden's move represented a bipartisan policy with support from international leaders and institutions, all of whom saw Shokin as incredibly corrupt. In fact, Shokin was accused of deliberately slow-walking the investigation into Burisma to solicit bribes.
So you're saying it wasn't Joe Biden who asked for the prosecutor to be fired, you asked for the prosecutor to be fired first?
Yes.
Number 5. The Deep State. This conspiracy theory has been around for decades, but it gained widespread popularity during the presidential tenure of Donald Trump. The general gist is that hidden figures in high-power positions secretly control the American government. The president and his administration are just stooges or figureheads, and the real power rests with these shadowy officials.
Unelected deep state operatives who defy the voters to push their own secret agendas are truly a threat to democracy.
Trump personally addressed the supposed deep state and claimed that they were working against him. But many others have professed that there is no deep state and never has been.
Do you believe there is a criminal deep state at the State Department?
I haven't seen the comments from the president. I don't believe there's a deep state at the State Department.
Americans aren't convinced. By looking at various polls, it's obvious that a number of citizens believe in at least some semblance of a deep state.
The most destabilizing force in the world today is the United States of America. And we appear to be erratic, and we appear to be moving back away from the key tenets of our foreign and security policy.
Number 4. The Clinton body count. Some political conspiracy theories are harmless and maybe even fun. Others are a little darker. This rather macabre theory posits that Bill and Hillary Clinton have had numerous people assassinated, with the supposed body count reaching as high as 50. This theory has been around since the 90s and was made popular by a documentary called The Clinton Chronicles. The deaths of many public figures have been supposedly linked to the Clintons, including that of Jeffrey Epstein. Upon Epstein's death, President Trump acknowledged the existence of the conspiracy theory by tweeting #ClintonBodyCount. Number 3. The JFK Assassination. Here we have the most popular conspiracy theory in American politics and maybe even American history. As everyone knows, John F. Kennedy was killed by Lee Harvey Oswald on November 22, 1963. But not everyone actually believes that.
The guy couldn't do the shooting. Nobody could. And they sold this lemon to the American public.
Literally countless conspiracy theories have been formed to explain the assassination, including cover-ups, multiple shooters, and even the involvement of the American government.
Kennedy wanted to withdraw from Vietnam. Kennedy wanted to, again, the Cold War. And so Kennedy wanted to fight the mafia. They put all this meaning into it. And so they owned conspiracy theories.
No one knows what actually happened. They just don't buy the official story.
3 bullets, 1 assassin. But 2 unpredictable things happened that day that made it virtually impossible. One, the 8mm home movie taken by Abraham Zapruder while standing near the grassy knoll.
These theories were bolstered in 1979 when the House Select Committee on Assassinations concluded that a conspiracy had taken place. This belief continues to hold true, with up to 3/4 of Americans believing the conspiracy.
The right has decided, deep state, we want in on this action too. And so the right got into it, and now both sides are fighting about which conspiracy theory they like the most.
Number 2, QAnon.
The elites. We've been suppressed, we've been lied to all of our lives, and now our eyes are open.
Originating in 2017, QAnon has been described as a far-right cult that propagates conspiracy theories surrounding President Donald Trump. According to QAnon, Trump's presidency was disrupted by a secret cabal of satanic cannibals and predators. These predators supposedly run a global trafficking ring and consist of many powerful and public figures, including business tycoons, government figures, and even major celebrities. The movement was born on 4chan, grew on 8chan, and eventually broke into the mainstream.
Jacob Chansley, the self-proclaimed QAnon shaman, is going to now spend more than 3 years in prison.
Trump himself even interacted with QAnon accounts through Twitter, which of course made it even more popular.
Everyone wants to save the children, so they were putting this veneer of legitimacy on the Q stuff.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into Settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1. The stolen election.
How did we get here? How did this happen?
The story of QAnon culminates in the conspiracy theory of the stolen election.
This was a fraudulent election.
This is perhaps the biggest political story of the 21st century, and it starts after Joe Biden was declared president in November 2020. Deeply unhappy with the results, Donald Trump did not go quietly into that political good night.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
Rather, he and his supporters spread baseless conspiracy theories, claiming that the election had been manipulated and rigged. Many dismissed the claims, even some of those within Trump's own party.
If this election were overturned by mere allegations from the losing side, our democracy would enter a death spiral.
It culminated in the historic attack on the Capitol, in which a legion of Trump supporters stormed the building. Extensive damage was caused, 5 people died, and hundreds of others were injured.